Hello, this is Sarah V, and today I am going to be sewing up two things, a vest and a faux waistband for the skirt that I made. Maybe that was at the end of August, perhaps. So, for the vest, I have Simplicity 7985. I am making this view. There's supposed to be like a little scallop in the top and the back, but I think I'm just going to make it flat across the back. Call it a day. And it is a lined vest. And then for the faux waistband, I'm going to use this belt pattern that I have from the 80s, and it is Simplicity 8375. And I think I want to make the one that she is wearing, this lady. And I do believe, yeah, on the back, it shows that it just has like straps. It's kind of like a flat cummerbund, but I'm going to change that so that it's more waistbandy and less cummerbundy, I reckon. The fabric is this plaid fabric, which is the same as that skirt that I made. And then the lining for the vest, I'm just going to use this yellow poly cotton blend that I got at the thrift store at some point in time. But yeah, the belt, I would like to make double-sided with one side a pumpkin on it. I have an embroidery machine. I have to see what designs are on it. And if there's no pumpkin, maybe I'll try to make a design in Inkscape and get it on there, but I never finished fully. I never fully finished figuring out how to do that. So there's that. Or I could also just hand embroider it, but after doing that hand embroidery project for all those flowers on the bottom of that dress I haven't finished, I think maybe it might be more responsible to see if I can do it on my embroidery machine. Anyway, I guess it's time to cut stuff out. I had wanted to get this video out at the end of September, but I used this machine and it wasn't working. My embroidery machine, that is. It is a Janome Memorycraft 300E, and she is a very, very fussy machine. And then once she was fixed, I brought her home and I was able to stitch out my pumpkin, but then I put a towel in it, and then she was upset with me again, so I took it back, and it turned out I was using the wrong interfacing, and that's why she was upset the second time. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to do more stuff with her, because it's kind of cool. I know for a fact that I am not going to get through 150 yards this year. But I think even if I make it to 100, I'll be happy. My whenever I decided to do 150 yards in a year, it was because I was like, well, I'm making a project every week and each project uses about 3 yards. So I was like, 12 yards a month, that gets me to like 150 basically. But life has happened multiple times and that just isn't going to happen, unfortunately. But I have been really, really good and firm with myself about not buying fabric, which is really, really good. And I think I'll use my points for Fabric Wholesale Direct to buy interfacing, because I am not happy with the interfacing I buy at Joann. Especially after it goes through the wash, it starts unsticking, which is not very nice. So I'm going to try their interfacing, and if it can't be any worse than what I've already been using. So there's that. I think the seam allowance for this is technically 3/8. I don't know, I kind of glanced at the pattern. I didn't actually measure and I didn't look at the instructions. But from what was on the actual pattern, that's what I gleaned about the seam allowance. And I did 3/8 all around except whenever I put it together, because I didn't want it so tall in the front. So that whole front panel I did at 5/8 whenever I sandwiched it together and sewed it up, just so that the pumpkin wouldn't look so lost amongst everything, because I did think the pumpkin was a little small compared to the waistband I cut out, but I couldn't make it any bigger. But yeah, I did that. It ended up too long, which I think I cut the right size for me based on what the pattern told me, and it was quite large. I think there's like a 6 to 8 inch overlap on each side, and you want some overlap, but 6 to 8 inches on both sides is a bit excessive, I think. Before turning it out through that almost too small gap I left, I trimmed the middle part, and then I cut along the curve so it would iron well. And now I'm trying to turn it out, and I was not able to do all the corners where I folded in, because that other side was just too far away and too narrow. I think that once I got it turned out, I used a pin to get some of those corners out, just so it looks sharper and sits nicer. But yeah, this hole was almost too small, but I did get it through. After I ironed it all, I decided I was just going to do some edge stitching the whole way around just to keep everything in place. I would have done some kind of understitching, but one, it's double-sided, and two, the hole I left was not very good for doing understitching in, quite frankly. Moving over to my vest, I am doing the side seams, and on the lining I left a gap so that I could turn it out. And I did the same thing that I did in that one jumper dress video where I did the shoulder seams kind of sandwiched together and then turned it out. I can link that above. I did a tutorial on it. I don't know how good it is, but I did one. And now I am stitching in my label, which I did a bad job at that. I was kind of tired, but I was like, man, I want to wear these tomorrow. I want to wear this to the corn maze. And I did in fact wear this to the corn maze. And now I am sewing all of that together. And I am leaving the shoulders open. I did not sew the shoulders together. Unfortunately, since I use such a soft cotton, because that plaid is like flannel on one side, it's very soft fabric. This poly cotton I used, the machine wasn't quite as fond of it. You can see with the tension a little bit, which whenever I did my edge stitching around with it when I was done, it kind of made some puckers in that outer flannel-y layer. Because the flannel wanted to bag more, just because it had a little more give to it than the poly cotton. I was kind of lazy and I closed up my hole from the inside by just sewing it shut on the machine. I figure if I ever need to get in there, I'll know exactly where it's at and I won't have to do any hand sewing. And I figure no one's really gonna see the inside. But I did run out of bobbin thread on my second armhole that I did, and I just put in a brown bobbin because I didn't want to wind another green one. But yeah, other than that, it was not so bad. Overall, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I ended up closing this with hooks, skirt hooks, in the bars on both sides. So either way you wear it, everything's taken care of. Was it annoying to put 6 skirt hooks and 6 skirt bars on? A little. But if I wear it this way, it's good. And then if I wear it this way, it's good. It did end up a bit big, but because I have quite a bit of overlap here between like 6 and 8 inches. And then the vest, the armholes are a bit big on it. I did have to take the pattern up a side. I had to grade it up, and I based it off of the other pattern that was in there that hadn't been cut. But the armholes did end up a bit big, and this probably would have been better with a fabric that had a little more body. But I was not originally intentioning on wearing this with the vest tucked in, but I thought the vest was very cute. I wore this all day yesterday, and I kind of safety pinned it in the front. I overlapped it, safety pinned it, tucked it in, and then I safety pinned the back of the vest to the little faux waistband, and then it looked like a little jumper dress. So there's that. It ended up quite cute, and I wore my pumpkin beret with it. So yeah, I think it turned out fine. I'm quite happy with it, even though not everything's perfect, but it is quite usable and still quite cute. That is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see more sewing content, please subscribe. If you'd like to see what I'm up to day to day, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Sarah V Sews Vintage. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.